Welcome, I'm Zach Warren with Velocity Insight, and this is the pre-work video for our in-person Power BI for oil and gas training class. What we're going to do today is just get you stood up so that you've got the software installed and we can skip all of that file open nonsense that usually happens at the beginning of a software training class. It's going to be a lot more fun and efficient for everybody involved if you can do this in advance. Thank you to those who get this done before the class begins. Pretty simple agenda. We're going to download, install, and open Power BI Desktop. That's the software that we're going to use in the class. We're going to import a data table, give a quick overview of the Power BI front end, and build a visualization. So there are two ways to download Power BI. The first is using the Microsoft Store. This is our strong recommendation. This is nice because it will stay up to date. That allows Microsoft to install updates as they come out. And there's a new version of Power BI Desktop roughly once a month. So this is a great path to go down. We found this to be really robust and work really nicely. However, you can also manually install a version that does not get automatically updated by going to powerbi.microsoft.com, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. If you're not sure which version to install, please do contact your IT department and check to be sure which they prefer that you install. I should mention, this only works for Windows machines. There is not a Power BI desktop version for a Mac. So if you're coming to the class, bring a Windows machine or borrow one, or maybe you could steal one, but probably don't steal one. Don't steal one, never mind. I forget I said that. So Microsoft Store is pretty straightforward. I just hit the Windows button and I type store, bring that up. I get an ad for Roblox because I have small children and that's what happens. Search for Power BI and you'll see that I already have it installed. I can hit the open button and that's going to open it up. If you don't have it installed, then you'll hit the install button, be able to download the executable and get it installed on your machine. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the open button while we're waiting. The other way is to go to powerbi.microsoft.com in a web browser and go download it. This is surprisingly difficult to do. You used to just be able to go to powerbi.com and get logged in and hit this download button. But now if I hit this Power BI desktop, I get this button that says that I need to open something. It takes me to the Microsoft Store. I can also go to powerbi.microsoft.com. And if I go to Products, Power BI, and Desktop, I can hit this Download Free button. It wants me to open the Microsoft Store yet again. The only way to actually get a manual executable is to go to See Download or Language Options. I'll choose the English language, hit the download button, and choose between a 32-bit or a 64-bit version. Strongly recommend 64-bit. Every now and again, somebody will need to connect to a weird data source that does not work with the 64-bit version, and you can use the 32-bit version to accommodate that. But it's very rare. We almost never see that happening out in the wild. One other thing that you will notice is in a lot of this stuff, you will see logos and labels for Microsoft Fabric. We're not going to talk about that in that class, but you can think of in this class too much, but you can think of Fabric as being an umbrella, and Power BI is one of the products inside of the Fabric umbrella. So if you see Fabric, in a lot of ways, it's sort of synonymous with Power BI. So now that you've got it installed, we're going to create a new .pbix file. So a PBIX is analogous to XLSX or DocX or PPTX. It's also similar from the Spotfire world of a .dxp. So this is a file that you could share with somebody else via email or save on a thumb drive or whatever that contains data as well as all the instructions for how to build your visualization. So when I opened Power BI Desktop, you probably ended up with a screen that looked like this. I'm going to hit this New Report button, and now I'm in the front end of Power BI. I'm going to add some new data to my very first file by clicking this Import Data from Excel button. There's other ways to get there, but it doesn't matter for now. We're just going to hit this big green button. You should have received this VI land training data set that you can use for just this pre-work video in an email when you got the invitation to the class. If you didn't get it, please reach out and we'll make sure that you get a copy of it. I'm going to hit open. And what Power BI is doing here is it's establishing a connection to that Excel spreadsheet and bringing in the data that is necessary to build our visualizations. So I'm going to click on well list. I get a nice little preview of the table of the data that's inside of the Excel spreadsheet, and I hit this load button in the bottom. That's going to bring a copy of all the data in and sort of identify what I have going on in here. So I'll catch up. Yes, we hit this big green import data from Excel button. We clicked on the VI land training dataset that you should have downloaded to your desktop, opened it, loaded one table, the well list table, and then we should be in this spot where along the right-hand side under the data panel, you should see a whole series of data fields. The first thing we're going to do to build a visualization is open the visualizations panel and click on a stacked column chart. That's going to create a stacked column chart. And then we're going to make that visualization a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. So in here, I can open up this little caret right here to see all of the different columns that I brought into the file. And I'm going to hit the stacked column chart button. And now I have something to look at. I'm going to collapse this filters panel because we're not going to use it in this little exercise yet. Now, once we have that visualization created, I need to be sure that I've selected it. And then I'm just going to go up and down the list here in the fields panel and select county, rescat, status, and well name. And then Power BI is going to try to guess where those things should go. So county, rescat, status, and well name. And you can see that it made choices about where to put those. It put county and well name into the x-axis for whatever reason, rescat into the legend, and status into small multiples. And we're not seeing any data right here, so I'm going to show you how to fix that. This is the kind of thing that happens fairly often in Power BI, and just something to kind of be aware of. So we're going to click on well name under the axis field and click it and drag it over to values. It goes from the x-axis to the y-axis. So we'll take well names, drag it into the y-axis, and it decided, it looked at that data type, which is text data type, and it said, well, I can't sum that up or average it. I'm just going to count the different well names that are available. And now I can see for Divide, McKinsey, and Williston counties, the number of wells that I have in each of these different categories. It's pretty cool, pretty easy and straightforward. However, these 4 different graphs for the 4 different statuses aren't really very useful to me. So in this case, I'm just going to click the little X next to status under the visualizations panel, and all of these are going to collapse into a single graph. So now I can see the number of wells I have in McKinsey County, Williston County, and Divide County. Pretty cool. We can also do some basic color change kinds of things. So now that I have this selected, I don't like the Houston Oilers, Tennessee Titans kind of color scheme that we've got going here. I'm going to change it to a nice Denver Broncos color scheme. And I can do that by going under the columns option under what I like to call the paintbrush. So see this little icon right here under the visualizations pane. There's this little paintbrush. That's how I'm going to make all of my colors and formats and fonts and those kinds of things work the way that I want. The specific option I'm looking for is under columns. It says, which series do I want to look at? Well, I want to look at 1 PDP and change that color from blue to orange. Pretty straightforward. One last thing to notice, on the left-hand side, what I call the left-hand sidebar, you have 3 choices. The top one, which is the one that we've been using, is the report pane. This is where we have graphs and visualizations. This is what a lot of people refer to as the canvas, right? We're putting stuff onto a screen that's going to be used in a report that we might publish down the road. The second option is what they call the data view. So that gives us the ability to look at the data that we have in Power BI in kind of a spreadsheet format. I can sort and filter and just look at the data that's in my data set. And the final one is the model pane. This is where Power BI really starts to get cool and powerful. I can bring in tables of data from multiple systems and connect them to each other and get some really, really useful stuff by integrating multiple systems together. So play around a little bit with that, kind of get an idea of what's going on in the front end, and you are in good shape to start our Intro to Power BI for Oil and Gas training class. If you have any questions, any trouble, please send an email to askus@velo-insight.com. That goes to a couple of different people, including myself. and we'll be sure to jump on any potential problems that you might have. Thanks so much for your time. Looking forward to seeing you in person, and we're going to have a great time. Looking forward to it.